nothing lasts forever. Everything has a peak. So just ride the wave, right? There are ebbs and there are flows to this thing we call life, and it's not always going to be good. But one thing that I have tried to master and advocate for is being at peace and being grateful. I am looking forward to leading. I am looking forward to building. I am looking forward to just creating a bunch of different stuff. One of my biggest objectives this year is to establish a team and just a core group of people that are productive and that I can mobilize to do certain things for the variety of different projects and hobbies and things that I just enjoy to spend my time doing. And also learning, growing, exercising, not sweating the small stuff. Really big on I don't want to be a part of it if it disturbs my peace. Heavy on that right now. If you got an attitude and I'll leave you alone. Let me get you some space. I don't want to solve your problems for you. And that's a big one because I have the personality where I like to help. So I'm quick to try to jump in and save somebody. One piece of advice that I would give is, and I still struggle with this, is not announcing things before they happen. And I had a kind of a one-sided exchange. So I sent a voice note over to someone, just kind of letting them know my stance on if I share something with you, it's not an invitation to share it with somebody else. And one thing that I'm learning as I get older is that sometimes, we get it wrong, but there's an opportunity to learn from that experience. And when we're so drastic, or we cut people off, or we don't take the time to explain our why and give them the opportunity to learn and grow from that experience, I think we miss the whole point of what it means to communicate. So I had to communicate that to someone. Simultaneously, I was on the other end of unintentionally delivering some news about somebody to a mutual that we've had. And it was really in an attempt to help that person. But I think, life is sticky and messy, and sometimes things happen and we don't mean or we don't intend for things to be that way, but they end up being that way. And to that point, I think that intent matters. I think that when there's conflict and when people don't see eye to eye on something, having a conversation, obviously, number one, is helpful to understand, where did this thing get off of the rails? But secondary to that, it's also an opportunity for understanding. And I think that is what our generation misses and lacks, because it really should never go from 0 to 100. There should always be a progression. And I think obviously we are all human in some things, and sometimes in some seasons, the trigger might just be too big to ignore. So I I was on both ends of that, being the one who unintentionally shared something, and then the fallout from that, versus I was in a position where I could have done the same thing, but I chose to communicate and just be an adult about the situation and just let the person know what the expectation is. And so long as it's not something that is a super big leak, I think things can be worked out. One thing that I am learning in my professional world is that people come and go, situations evolve. There's always opportunities to improve, and just leaning into that. So that's kind of my understanding as I'm going into the spring, which is just be open to the opportunity to learn, to be influenced, to be inspired, and to not be so drastic in your actions. And this is a reoccurring theme for me, because when I was younger, my brother always used to say, never be drastic in your actions. And that has actually been a guiding principle for me. Now, I don't always follow that, because I will say one of my demons is that I am easily agitated. It is something that I've always struggled with, and I really want to get a grip on. I really want to get a good handle on not allowing things to just easily shift my center. And that is a daily work. Trust me, I am working on it. There are some that are very slow to anger, and I admire that quality. And I think there are, things kind of all through that spectrum of responses and behaviors or temperaments that one can have and adopt at any period of time. One of the biggest takeaways from last year as a result of a leadership program that I was a part of was speaking with authority. It is something that I am constantly working on and framing, and it's amorphous, right? It doesn't have a shape. Like, there are some spaces and some topics that I feel like I can speak the breadth of the topic, and just my passion for it will be evident, just by even a casual observer. There are other topics where, it's a little more of a finesse, or it's a little bit more of like, okay, I kind of have the general concept, but I don't have all of the nuance, but I'm speaking to it the best that I can. And there are some things that just feel innate and just like, okay, well, this is kind of how it should be. Like, this is what makes sense. And so learning how to communicate that with authority, and not authority in like I want to tell you what to do type of thing, but in authority whereas you are seen as a thought leader in that space or on that topic, and your opinion is heard and well respected, even if it's not agreed upon. I have to work on my delivery, and one of the things that I am intentionally working on is toning it down a little bit. Like, I can be extremely direct, and I appreciate when people are direct, and I want to have that type of dialogue because it takes all the guesswork out of it. I don't have to wonder like, oh, well, they said this, but what did they really mean? And that cliche term, it's not what you say, it's how you say it, matters and is very true. And the rebel in me always bucks when I hear that, because I'm like, no, like, you guys should just stop being sensitive. But I'm sensitive. Takes me back to my high school days when they used to say, you're a sensitive, insensitive person. And I think a little bit of that is true, but I'm working on it. I think I'm definitely a lot more evolved than I was when I was younger. I still have times and periods and seasons where, it could be a little reckless. But for the most part, I think the sum of my parts is decent. And I believe that wholeheartedly. As we close this first quarter of the year, a couple things I would like to say just as gratitude, right, for being here on this beautiful day in this beautiful world that we live in. A lot of things are changing very rapidly. I think one of the most underrated skills is being flexible, being agile, and being adaptable. We can't control things around us in large part. A lot of things are just going to be happening, and we have to shift and navigate those things as to not get caught in the ruckus. And I think that you're going to see that on a variety of different levels, right? You're going to see that on the political level. You're going to see that on the economic level. You may even see that personally or relationally in your social, level or space. And I think it's just good to understand that, like, nothing lasts forever. Everything has a peak. So just ride the wave, right? There are ebbs and there are flows to this thing we call life, and it's not always going to be good. But one thing that I have tried to master and advocate for is being at peace and being grateful, taking every single day and finding one thing to be grateful for, not expecting that everything's going to be perfect, but just finding something to be grateful for and expressing that and being true to that. And even if it's a bad day, right, it could be a worse day if you lean into the BS. Spend time with people that you love intentionally, right? And on the flip side of that, right, is if you're in a space or you're surrounded with certain people that are not elevated right now, it's okay to excuse yourself, right? It is okay to give them space. It is okay to respect that they're in a season, right? And you can offer support in a variety of different ways. You can do check-ins with them. You don't have to onboard their problems, but you can check in with them and kind of let them know that you're there should any support that you can offer be needed, right? And know your boundaries, right? It's not a catch-all. It's not you get to just use me in any way you desire or you see fit. It has to make sense and it has to be reasonable. One thing that I've considered doing is creating like a digital diary for my kids, right? So long time from now, they can look at it, or even if it's a year from now, right? Just look at it and kind of learn a little bit about their mom, my wishes, my prayers, my dreams for them, and just give them lessons that I may or may not be able to impart to them, just depending on where we are in life, and finding somewhere that I can save it and store it for them, because I think it would be so awesome for to have a piece of me even long after I'm gone. The most important thing, and I think that this rings true for a lot of different things, is that people are at the center of everything that we do. Whether you want to build a team, you want to build a business, you want to build a solution, people are at the center of that. Whether you're serving people or you need people to help you build it. So be kind to yourself and to others. The world, okay, is very volatile for a variety of reasons at any given time. When you have an opportunity to engage with people, be kind. You don't have to be nice, but you can be kind and you can be polite. I gave a gentleman a compliment today. I was on the phone with ADP for, personal business matter, and he went out of his way, and I knew that he was a brother. He went out of his way to assist me with my inquiry, and he didn't allow kind of like my frustration to get the better of him. And he just provided good support. And at the end of that call, I took a moment to really just highlight and give him his proverbial flowers for just excelling at the customer service game, because it is very difficult, and you meet people at a variety of different stages, in their problem, and you have to know how to de-escalate and just provide good support. And he did that. And it just showed me, or it dawned on me after I got off the call, like that was free. Like that didn't cost me anything. I just gave him a minute to 3 of my time to expound on something that I appreciated about his service. And I don't know if it'll affect him or if it'll mean anything to him at all. But a lot of times we do a lot of work, thankless work. And every now and again, it's just good to acknowledge something that somebody has done to either make your life easier, solve a problem for you, or just something, anything. So that is my motto. It's like, just be kind to yourself and to others. You don't have to go out of your way. You don't have to bend over backwards, but you can be kind. So that's it. That's my little check-in. I'm going to have another check-in about the Content Community Leads platform that I'm trying to build internally at Hear Me Out. Essentially, it is really a litmus test to see how social medias build their programs, like their creator programs.